Welcome to the Writing Glitch. I'm Cheri Dotterer, your classroom coach. Today, we have Kelli Fetter. She is the owner of Handwriting Solutions, a Florida virtual and in-person tutoring service. She's an occupational therapist and has been a friend of mine for several years. She has been a previous guest on the Writing Glitch. We're so glad to have you today, Kelli. It's great to have you back.
Thank you. It is a joy to be back and just have a conversation with you, Cheri.
Before we begin, let's get a word from our sponsor, Disability Labs. At Disability Labs, we are committed to impact the journey of 200,000 teachers, which translates to about 3 million students by 2030, so they can reignite their passion for learning. Our learning, our professional learning series focuses on math and writing strategies to help all students in your classroom. These interventions improve students with and without disabilities. All students have access to mathematics and writing skills. We have an ebook called The Pizza Problem, available for $14.95. You can see information in the show notes. What is the pizza problem? It introduces the concept of squares to students. Whether you're a teacher or an occupational therapist, this math problem uses vision to develop conceptual knowledge, and it will help kids from kindergarten through 12th grade by increasing the complexity of the student knowledge base and improving number sense. Now, let's get back to Kelli and get on with the show. So, Kelli, if people haven't heard your previous episode, tell us a little bit about who you are and what is Handwriting Solutions.
Sure. As you mentioned, previously I worked as an occupational therapist. My entire occupational therapy background is in pediatrics. I worked in an outpatient setting, I did early intervention, I worked in school systems, and then eventually took a position as adjunct professor teaching both kinesiology and pediatrics. But along that journey, my own child, who is a sixth grader now, got a dyslexia and dysgraphia diagnosis. And so that really sent me on a path of discovery and knowledge seeking. Because even as an occupational therapist, I was not well versed in learning disabilities. That is not something that they really provide you in that collegiate setting. As a parent and with that OT background, I really honed in on what the research is saying, what the evidence is saying, how I can help her. As there's a wealth of dyslexia research out there, not so much dysgraphia. So that was a little frustrating. I felt very lost. It was very easy to find help for her with the dyslexia. But when I said the word dysgraphia, I feel like the majority of people looked at me like I was speaking a foreign language. Most people, this includes professionals and educators, did not understand what dysgraph. They were not familiar with it. And I went all in and tried to learn, called you up during those early days, tried to just soak in as much information as I could and really took it upon myself to help my own child and help remediate and figure out what worked for her. And then other people started asking, I see that you helped your child. Can you help my child too? And Handwriting Solutions was born. And it still is to this day such a passion of mine to help kids now globally to get the access to the services that they need, whether that be remediation, accommodation, however we can get them there, because it's just such an underserved population.
And we're just getting off of summer and headed back to school when we're recording this. You have a really busy summer because of your switch to the Handwriting Solutions. Tell us a little bit about what summer looked like at Handwriting Solutions.
Summer is fun, but it is a lot. We continue to serve students one-on-one, and we actually, and I'm not sure if your audience knows this yet or not only do we provide handwriting tutoring now, but we also have added reading and spelling teams to our services. And that's because so often the kiddos who struggle with handwriting have those reading and spelling struggles. So, with that said, we had our regular one on one students working with us all summer. and maybe even increasing in intensity. So maybe if they were 1 or 2 times a week, maybe they were 3 or 4 times a week this summer. But then we also run our handwriting camps all summer long, and those are mostly virtual. We do have a few in office camps in our Florida location. And those are great 4 days, intensive, explicit instruction. The results are just it will blow your mind, some of the results that these kiddos make in just 4 days, and it just speaks to the science of explicit, systematic instruction. And then we go from there. If they made great things in camps and they are at a great place, then that's wonderful. If they still need a little boost or a little help, then they move into our tutoring program.
You said explicit and systematic. I will reiterate this almost every podcast episode. The science of reading has proven that explicit, systematic, cumulative, and multisensory approach will help benefit all students, not just kids that are struggling, but help benefit all students and help level the playing field for all students. When we're looking at reading, transitioning to writing, there is a big overlap and intersection between the two disciplines, two subject matters. But yet, you mentioned it, they have this island that they live on. How are you, other than adding staff, how are you integrating them during a tutoring session?
Yes, I would also add 2 more things to that list of systematic and explicit. I would also say individualized, and that's one thing that we are doing both on the reading spelling end and on the handwriting end, is very individualized support. And then also strengths-based and that holistic picture, really looking, and that I think is the key to all of our sessions with children and that remediation, because our spelling tutors clearly are doing handwriting in their sessions, and vice versa. Our handwriting tutors are working helping kiddos with their spelling lists for school. So I think there's a great overlap there. So we have these two quote islands, like you said, specialists of reading, spelling, and of handwriting. But it comes together so collaboratively because of that transdisciplinary approach, the communication. Our tutors literally will text each, Okay, what are you all working on this week? Or what's the plan for this week? Or so that they can carry over what is happening. We had one of our reading and spelling tutors ask one of our handwriting tutors, okay, I know you all have come such a long way. Why is she still reversing that B and that D? So it was a perfect educational opportunity for our handwriting tutor to say, okay, here's what's going on. Here's the why. Here's the language that we're using in our session. It's just, I sometimes sit back and watch because I'm really doing the assessments and the leadership, but I sometimes sit back and watch these dynamics play out, and it's magical. And I think the parents, it is so streamlined that the parents don't even realize it's happening because the communication with them is clear and concise and direct feedback. It's incredible. And I only hope that the science of writing is catching up to that science of reading, because I think we're getting there, but I think there's time and energy that needs to continue to be placed in there.
It will. It will catch up. As a matter of fact, I want to say 30, but I could be wrong on my numbers. 30 states have implemented mandatory handwriting instruction as of 2024. We need to go a little bit more because we have a couple more states to incorporate there, but the trend to bring handwriting back as a mandated instruction is coming full circle. And I know, but I want the listeners to know as well. Back in 2012, the way they worded the Common Core, it wasn't explicitly put into the terminology, Therefore, it was felt like it was something that was innately learned. And one thing that we have learned since that time is no, handwriting is not innately learned. It needs to be explicitly, systematically, cumulatively, multisensory, individualized, and you said strengths based.
Mhm.
It needs to be taught to the students at not only print, but cursive as well. And cursive is one of the big things that they're bringing back as a mandate. I had one school in South Carolina. They bought books for second and third grade. They didn't buy them for kindergarten, first, and the OTs that had just graduated from my certification program are going in this year to kindergarten, and they are co-teaching with the teachers the handwriting program that they purchased for cursive. They're teaching the print version to the younger kids, and it needs to be a trend across the country.
Yes, agree completely. And that's actually something that over the past year, Handwriting Solutions has really taken on because obviously we can't see every student out there one on one, right? That's impossible. And just similar to what your all's mission is, let's reach the teachers too, because the teachers can then reach 20, 30 students per year that we may not be able to reach. And just this month, as you said, it's back to school season. We have worked with 2 private schools, 2-hour training to get their teachers up to speed on handwriting research, on instruction in the classroom, what that can look like. And I have never seen 2 groups of teachers more excited about handwriting and eager to learn and get the help and intervene with students when they can't. It was amazing to see. So teachers want that information too. And I think like you said, it is now a priority and it has to be a priority. It has to because our literacy is impacted so directly by this
Mhm.
handwriting instruction early on.
And as for me, I also feel that math is a place for occupational therapy. Math class needs us as well. And I've been doing a lot of research in the connections to writing and math instruction. And if you go over to tier one interventions, you're going to get to hear more about that connection in that podcast. But that's not what we're talking about today. But I did want to interject that piece as well, that math also needs, it's not just literacy, it is math. Kids don't understand symbols. So
Well,
as you're doing your tutoring, include those symbols because they don't
yeah.
understand.
Yes, and I'm so glad you brought that up because we did in these teacher trainings, we had math teachers in there, of course. It was a class wide or school-wide training. And initially the math teachers were like, why are we here? And I said, hold on, hold on. And then by the end, they're like, oh my gosh, yeah, yeah. And I said, if they can't write their numbers, if they can't align their numbers, if they can't conceptualize and the yeah, math is going to be really challenging too. So absolutely. And it also plays into all areas of academics. History class, science class, every area of academics is impacted by our written output. That's how oftentimes our understanding and intelligence is measured.
Absolutely. How well we communicate in written form, no matter what our age, is how they grade us. N- Now, have you gotten into this situation? I'm going to talk a little bit about math here just a moment, a little bit longer. Have you come and run into this situation where kids just know the answer and they don't have any idea how they got there? Did your daughter run into that with math or any topic? and not really know how to find the answer or get from one point A to point C without going through point B?
Sure. So this is so funny that you brought this up. We just went to parent night last night at my daughter's school, and the math teacher was talking about this exact idea. And what's great about this school's approach is they're not teaching one way to get there. I think for a minute we really got pigeonholed into teaching you have to do this approach and you can only do this approach to get to the answer. And she said, but this student may have strengths in this area and will do this approach to get there. And she very much is. She's not your typical math teacher. She's not doing it all. I do have to lay it all out. And that's the way she understands it. So I think her sentiment was, however we get there, as long as we get there and we understand how to get there, then we all got there. And I just thought that was pretty powerful because I personally, now again, I am not a math expert, but in my just knowing what I know, I think it is just like with all ideas and learning is how do we get there? How do we get to that end goal, that outcome? And then, of course, understanding how we got there, acknowledging the strengths, the individual, that's the piece that I, again, come back to.
Mhm. Yeah, so many kids do it in their head and they don't know what they did. They just know it. And that's frustrating for teachers because how did they figure that out? There is a point in time where it catches up with students, but kids who just know it, they have a number sense that is above average for that child.
It also makes me think about these kiddos with really higher IQs and spelling. And so their parent says, "What are you talking about? They read great." And then we dig deeper into their phonological awareness, and they don't have any because they have memorized all of the words to spell them. Again, you got the output there. How did we get there? And that will only serve you for so long, typically third, fourth grade. And then things get tricky. So similar concepts.
Absolutely. 6.4% of the population is gifted, probably in reading and in mathematics. And then they have this trouble with writing skills. It's how I got started in this because my daughter's gifted and struggled with spelling. And I was helping a kid at school with learning disability that was also struggling with spelling. And it was like, what's the connection here? And so I talk about that a lot. I bring my daughter and my son into the podcast often because it was a awakening, like you with your daughter. It was this awakening. Oh, there is a connection. It all builds on one another. And yeah, that just no state does come back to haunt them around third, fourth grade.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the other piece we can even throw into here is the mental health aspect of what that does. When you have a gifted learner, no matter their giftedness, and then they have that struggle, again, most often written output, those are the kids we see. Those are the parents who are calling the help. My kid is so frustrated. My kid is avoiding writing. My kid hates writing. All of these things. That's a huge red flag for me. Something is going on. And there's a discrepancy in their ability and then their performance.
Hmm.
And so we
Which
have to
is
watch
what,
for that mental health piece of it too.
which is this underlying definition of a specific learning disability. Their achievement and their output and their performance are not aligned. So let's get back to handwriting solutions a little bit closer. And the new people that you've brought on, how has that changed the dynamic of the business?
Clearly, we had to bring on more tutors just because we had it's a supply and demand issue. We had more families that were reaching out, specifically time zones, because we did expand to offer our tutoring internationally. So we needed tutors that were available in different time zones. We still, all of our handwriting tutors have a background in occupational therapy. And then all of our reading and spelling tutors have a background in education. And so for us, it's really, I tell all of the parents that we talk to, I would only hire and train a tutor that I would want to work with my own child. I think that's really important. I come at it from a parent, not a professional and a parent of, okay, is this engaging? Is this fun? But then also we provide a really rigorous training for the tutors as well. Because like I said, they don't necessarily teach us about dysgraphia and dyslexia in school. There is an educational component. And I think that team, we have monthly tutor meetings and we always do an educational piece at each meeting to really provide that ongoing support. And then I'm constantly checking in on each of the students and the tutor team. So it's a very team based approach. And when you say cumulative, that's what makes that, to me, that's what I think we're doing. And I think it's also super fun because they're not all the same. They bring such gifts and such strengths and experiences. And so when your student clicks with a tutor, it's great. But I also tell parents that your student will not click with everyone. So if they get a tutor and it's not clicking, that's okay. That's okay. That doesn't mean that we're not going to progress. That means we're going to find another tutor that they can click with and build that relationship. And you would think virtually, like, how can a student build this relationship with a tutor that they've only ever seen through a screen? But it's powerful. We have students who just, I had a mom tell me this week, oh my goodness, my child loves to do handwriting class. What? I'm like, that's wonderful. And it's virtual and kids are getting excited about it. And I think that speaks volumes to what our team is doing. They bring the science, but they also bring that relationship piece.
I don't know if you ever met my friend Cindy, but she brings horses to writing, not writing, but writing. And the kids are absolutely loving writing about horse riding.
I love
You have
it.
to be very articulate with that one.
Yes, yes. If I could bring horses to actual physical horses to my sessions, I totally would. But growing up in Kentucky, that's yes, yes. But again, you can oftentimes it's these middle school boys, right? And you think, oh my gosh, how are they good? How are you going to engage this middle school boy? He doesn't want to sit at a computer and learn how to write. Guess what we're writing about? Video games.
Mhm.
And motivate them. And that's beautiful.
Anything that will motivate them. What I had one student writing about how to clean his gun, and he was like, "Can I do this in school?" I said, "This is what you need. We're in your home at the moment, and this is what you need to practice writing, and this is motivating you." And he was just about ready to enter middle school. Uh, that was the end of his 5th grade, and we did it. Dad was there and talked about the step, and then he would practice writing it down. And it's amazing what you can do when you find that niche that the kids thrive.
And what's really magical about what you said is dad was there, dad was supporting. When we can get parents on board too, that doesn't necessarily mean that the parent has to be there because there's a lot of our students actually work better when the parent is not hovering, including my daughter. So I say that and laugh because that's my child. But when you have that parent buy-in, that parent carryover, that's when the true magic happens. That's when you're really going to see faster results.
Exactly. Exactly. Fast forward to high school students. Do you get many 11th and 12th graders?
We do actually. We had an influx this year of high school, college students for a number of reasons. A couple of them just truly they wanted to improve their writing. Some was parent driven. One student in particular was in college and he was planning on working for his dad after college. And his dad said, until you've improved your penmanship, you're not working for me. So that was motivation for that son. We have a handful of teenagers right now, high school students that are coming to us to learn cursive because they're finally realizing how much of a hindrance it is. They can't read cursive, they can't write cursive, and it's impacting them. So they're coming to us for that too, which is amazing. Again, students are, I think they are getting it. They are understanding the value of it. Sure, they're still typing away most of their assignments, but they're understanding the value of it more and more.
Yes, they are. And as soon as we hit 52 states that have that as a mandate, it will filter through the next generation of kids. Do you realize that the kids that are graduating from college this year never had cursive instruction?
Oh, yeah. Oh, I believe it because they're the kids that are coming to us, or they're the ones who have entered the workforce and are becoming teachers. I had one in particular ask me the other day. She said, "I can't read if my students are writing in cursive. I can't read that." And I said, "Maybe you need to come take some classes with us too. We're happy to help our teachers learn cursive as well because you are spot on. We have a generation of teachers now that don't know."
Yep. Yep. We do. We do. Kelli, we're running out of time here. Is there anything else that you'd like to share before you share how to get a hold of you?
No, I think I am just so optimistic about where we're going. When I started this business 3.5 years ago, it was a different time. It was a very different time. And so I'm very optimistic as to where literacy is going, as to where handwriting instruction is going, dysgraphia. We're getting research. We have entire websites now that are dedicated to dysgraphia. We have Dysgraphia Awareness Day. So I think we're getting there, and I'm very optimistic to where we're going. And like I said, if we can impact more students, we've got our one-on-one students. If we can impact more students by training their teachers, training therapists, beautiful. It would be really cool to say one day that I worked myself out of a job. That would be amazing because that's why I do this. Yeah, it's a passion.
And how do we get a hold of you? Where do we find Handwriting Solutions?
So our website is handwritingsolutions.org. You can also feel free to email me at KELI@handwritingsolutions.org. There are a ton of resources on our website, freebies that you can print out and share with your teachers. There are probably over 80 articles at this point, all educational articles to help you, tips, strategies, etc. We're also on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and which social media. You may not see it even if you follow us, but we're there. So just trying to spread the word.
Thank you for everything that you're doing. I love how your business has expanded from that first call that we had 4 or 5 years ago to where it has grown to today. And it was such a pleasure catching up and finding out more about what's happening. And listeners, remember, you were put here for such a time as this. Go be awesome, go be brilliant, and go help your kiddos just transcend their life.